Hello everyone, today's video is about area and circumference formulas. So area by definition is the amount of space that an object takes up. If we take this circle over here, if we're looking to find the area of that circle, that means we're looking to fill it in. How much space is required to fill in this circle? So the area formula is going to be, A equals pi r squared, where r is going to be the radius of our circle. So radius, as a reminder, is a segment that goes from the center of the circle out to the edge, which is also equivalent to half of a diameter. And we can leave our answer, we'll see some examples here where we leave our answer in terms of pi. Otherwise, if we're going to do a decimal approximate, we can say that pi is approximately 3.14. So let's do an example. Let's say that we want to calculate the area of a circle with a radius of 6. So anything that has to do with a formula, I do like to actually write out that formula first. So A equals pi r squared, and then we're looking at a radius of 6. So that means in our formula, I'm going to keep my pi in there because I want to leave my answer in terms of pi. So I'll leave pi in the answer. I won't use 3.14, but I will substitute a 6 in as the length of the radius. According to our order of operations, we are going to do exponents before we do multiplication. So 6 squared is 36. So 36 times pi. Consider, again, our question asks us to leave our answer in terms of pi. I'm going to leave my answer just like this. The only thing I have to do is put in my units. Since my radius, again, was 6 centimeters, that means my area, which is always measured in square units, will be 36 pi centimeters squared. Final answer. If we look down to our next example, example 2 now asks you to determine the length of the diameter, so be careful reading the directions. Length of the diameter of a circle given a specific area. And that specific area doesn't have a pi in there at all, so that means at some point somebody had used 3.14 as a decimal approximate. So let's again write out our formula, and we're going to plug in the information that we know. Now we don't know the diameter, which means we also don't know the radius. We do know that the area is 226.98. We know that since pi is not in our answer, that means 3.14 was used as a approximate for pi. So in order to solve here, we are going to have to do a little bit of algebra. So first step is dividing both sides by 3.14. And yes, we're going to break out our calculators to see what that is. So our radius squared is going to be equal to, let's see, calculator, 226.98. Divide that by 3.14 is approximately 27.29. So let's go ahead and put that in, 27.29. And then in order to get rid of the square, we are going to take the square root of both sides. So square root. So the square and the square root cancel each other out, leaving us with an approximate. And let's see, the square root of 72, I wrote that wrong, sorry, 72.29 is going to be about 8.5. So let's adjust this since I had a moment. This is 72.29, and again, when I round here, I get about 8.5 as the length of the radius. And just adding our units in there, we are talking about inches. So that means the radius of the circle had to be about 8.5 inches long. So that's some examples of area. But now let's turn our attention to circumference. So circumference, you can kind of think about it like perimeter. It's the length of the distance around the circle. So no longer are we trying to fill in our circle, but we're trying to calculate just the distance around it. So the formula for circumference, there's actually 2 of them that we can use. They are equivalent to one another, but it just depends on what you have, whether you have the diameter or you have the radius. So circumference is actually pi times the diameter, but we also know that the diameter is equal to 2 times the radius. So you can also use circumference equals 2 pi r, because 2r is equivalent to the diameter. So just depending on what you have, you might want to use one formula versus the other one. If we're looking at the first example here, we want to calculate the circumference of a circle with a given radius, and we want to round our answer to the nearest hundredths place or 2 decimal values. So consider I'm given the radius here, I am going to use that second formula. Circumference is equal to 2. Since I want the hundredths place, I'm going to use 3.14 as my decimal approximate for pi. And my radius, I'm going to use 2. Since multiplication is commutative, order does not matter, so I'm going to go ahead and enter this into my calculator just from left to right. So 2 times 3.14 multiplied by 2 equals about 12.56. So circumference is approximately 12.56 millimeters. Circumference is just like radius, just like diameter, it's measured in linear units, so we just have millimeters and we're all set. The next example asks us to calculate the length of the diameter again of a circle, and it gives us the circumference. So I'm going to use this first formula here that has to do with circumference and diameter, since that's the information that I'm given. So if I write that out first and then plug in my given information, the circumference is a 20 pi, and our diameter is what we need to figure out. Now, we have a pi on both sides, so in actuality here, this question is super easy, because if we just divide by the pi that's on both sides, it cancels from both sides. Pi divided by pi, it goes bye-bye. I'm sorry, I have to do it. It's funny every time I say it. 20 equals the diameter, and that's actually what we wanted to find. We wanted to calculate the length of that diameter. So there you go. Your diameter is 20 inches, if I put the unit in there. Final answer. All right, thank you again so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.